Hey guys, Poetically J here. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. Today we're going to be talking about why extreme budgeting is bullshit. Okay, so perhaps you've had a budget before, maybe you're considering making a budget. I am coming from pretty much a background of being a very extreme budgeter, writing down everything to the T and really keeping track of all of my spending, all of my expenses to the T. I'm gonna tell you why I don't necessarily think that it is so realistic for most people. Setting a really extreme budget for yourself can pretty much set you up to fail. And when you do, you are kind of pushed away from really taking an interest and taking ownership of your finances. Extreme budgeting is not the only way to take a hold and have ownership of your finances. There are other ways. So I would say that the number one issue that I have with extreme budgeting is that it sets these unrealistic expectations for what you should be doing with your money. And a lot of the times it consists of budgeting down so meticulously that it becomes so much of a chore and really makes your relationship with money a little bit stressful, to be honest. So rather than budget so meticulously, there are other ways that we'll get into later in the video on how you can still control your money, because that is important. You want to definitely take control of the way that you spend, but you can do it in a way that is less stressful, more rewarding, and really just works better with your lifestyle. All right, so next up is, honestly, I do feel that when you budget your money so extreme, it can really promote a scarcity mindset rather than an abundance mindset. Now, this concept was first really brought to me by a friend that I worked with. This guy was a little bit extreme in the sense of spending money. Maybe he wasn't so extreme, but in that moment it felt like he was, because, you know, I was so strict about how I spent my money at that time. This guy would order 2 coffees every day to work without fail. And sometimes he wouldn't drink them. Sometimes he would. And it drove me crazy because I was like, why are you ordering this coffee that you aren't sure if you're gonna drink? That's such a waste. And his response was that he'd rather focus on making more money than worrying about how he spent the money that he already has. Now, again, like I said, a little bit extreme. What I did take from that experience was that maybe I could ease back on my personal idea of how I spent my own money, you know? I can definitely recall occasions where I have not spent money, and it was a very small amount. Like it could be like $10 or something like that, because it wasn't in the budget. I was that person. So to see somebody behave like this with their money, it was like mind-boggling to me. I was like, how could they? It's crazy. I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you know, one thing that I did take from him was that rather than focusing on trying to stretch the money that you have in all these different places, why not focus on how you can grow that money, how that money becomes more, and you don't have to have such finite expectations of what it can do for you. Oh, we got a visit from Titan. Hi, buddy. So my advice to you is, you know, to take control, still have a handle on your finances, but not do it in a way that communicates to the universe and to yourself that you don't want more. I have struggled with the concept of abundance for a very long time. In fact, for many years before I even realized it. That's something we'll talk about at a later time, but essentially I realized that in a lot of ways I was shutting down opportunities in my life and probably new money coming in because I had such a tight grip on how I was spending what I currently had. And it was almost in a sense of, this is all that I have. This is, you know, I can't even fathom the concept of more coming in because I am budgeting for this amount and that's it, and it's not gonna grow. And I started to realize that I was having this approach to money, and I was like, whoa, okay, there's a such thing as actually budgeting being bad for you. There's a such thing as budgeting actually blocking new blessings coming your way. There's a such thing as you budgeting to the point where it says to the universe, you know what? I'm okay with this. I can live with this. I can make my life with this. And I actually don't need you to send me anything else. That's the kind of attitude that I felt that I had, because it was a controlling thing. It was like, if I can control exactly how this money is spent, then I really don't need anything else. And the fact of the matter is, sometimes with money and just abundance in general, you really have to get to a place where you start taking leaps of faith before you're quite ready for it. And I don't mean just spending money frivolously, So honestly, I've heard extreme budgeting compared to extreme dieting. It's like this super fad kind of dieting that is trendy, and it's like, okay, this is the diet of right now. You hear Oprah talk about a lot how she struggled with dieting because she would fall into these really trendy diets, and they just weren't sustainable. And the thing is, how dieting and budgeting, you're like, how does that really correlate? This is how dieting and budgeting correlate, is that the number one expectation is that whatever plan you come up with must be sustainable. If it's not sustainable, then you put all this effort adopting this new, way of doing things for nothing. You essentially wasted your time. Is writing down every meticulous thing that you spend a sustainable practice for you? That's a question you have to ask yourself. To be honest, it isn't sustainable for most people. It was really easy for me to do because I kind of like getting into those details. But again, most people don't really want to do that. You don't want to be, at dinner and you're writing down the bill that you just spent. Or what's worse, you might not remember every time. So then your budgeting isn't really accurate. So what is probably a better practice for most of us is to categorize your spending, right? So you have your fixed expenses that are non-negotiable. They must come out every month. In fact, they are coming out every month, whether or not the money is there. So those are your fixed expenses. You basically work through your expenses starting there. The next is, if you're a saver, which I hope you are, saving at least 10%, but hopefully 20% of your income. That's the next tier. So your fixed expenses, second tier is going to be your savings and your investments. It's like you're paying yourself, okay? Then the last tier is, all right, this is what I have left over to spend freely. And rather than budgeting that amount down to where you have specific allocations for entertainment and shopping and groceries and so on and so forth, what's probably better is to just have this open relationship with how you spend that money. Because again, it could change from month to month. One month, this month, for instance, I spent a lot of money on shopping. I don't normally shop that much. I'm pretty much a basic shopper. I like to have the basic things that I need. I don't really like the experience of shopping. It's annoying to have to look for clothes, so I don't spend a lot on shopping. But in December and November, like a lot of people, the amount that I spend on shopping goes up because I'm buying gifts for other people. So obviously, the correlation of what I'm spending in other areas is going to decrease. So if I had this really rigid idea of what I was going to do with my money every month, then that might get under my skin. It might drive me a little bit crazy. And it really used to, because I would be so married to this spreadsheet of how I was supposed to allocate my money that when something came up differently, it literally drove me crazy. So I hope this has been of help to you guys. I can remember being on my beginning journey of just, getting my finances in order, getting my money in order. And it's a fun journey. You can make it a fun journey. You can also make it a really stressful and pressured journey. And I don't want it to be that way for you. So I really hope this gives you some insight and clarity into why exactly extreme budgeting is bullshit. If you guys like this video, be sure to like below, and also let me know if you guys want to hear more financial talk from me. I definitely don't profess to be any type of expert, but finances are important to me and they're a big part of my life. So I'm happy to share what I have learned with all of you fine folks. Anyways, you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping by.